I'm your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I've been talking about the T's, as in tea or tomatoes, of breakthrough. Now, I'm going to talk about tenacity. Tenacity. Tenacity is the ability to hold on, to firmly grip a responsibility, an idea, a process, a project. It's staying power. It is tenacity that enables the stamp to stay in an envelope to allow a letter reach its destination in those days when we were posting letters through post offices. Tenacity. We motivational speakers of this generation will make you feel as if we have achieved success by a sudden flight. Successes are hardly achieved by sudden flights. The Wright brothers that flew the first so-called aircraft or anything that could fly machine, they must have experimented and failed and fallen down several times. Any success you see has had several failures. But those who quit don't win. And those who win don't quit. So stay in power. Today's Christianity is a quick fix Christianity. This is your year of this. Receive it right now. This, that. It's not like that. God can heal you right now. God can do things. But that's not always the case. That he multiplied bread did not prevent the bakeries from opening the next day. The process of making bread still required time and tenacity. The miraculous is an intermittent intervention of divinity in the affairs of humanity when humanity is helpless and confused. God will not circumvent some processes for your sake. Even Jesus stayed in the womb for 9 months before he was delivered. Jesus did not have parents that God booked transport for from Nazareth, wherever they were, to Bethlehem to deliver. Jesus' parents did not have easy access to accommodation. They had to deliver him in a manger. And he, being God, grew in stature and wisdom and obtained favor from God and man. There is process before possession. So, this concept of quick fix Christianity, of sow a seed and you will receive a bountiful harvest. Crops that are enduring take time to mature. That Isaac sowed in the land and reaped 100-fold, the degree of his harvest was commensurate with the amount of land he sowed into. That means to say, the Apoki formula of G times E times S raised to the power 4 all over C equals result. That is, there is the grace of God, but you need times E, the effort. Grace times 0 effort will lead to disgrace. So there is tenacity. You must be tenacious. You must stick to some things. Apart from when you are being humiliated, when you are being abused, and when there is threat to life, and when you have reached your limit of tolerance of an attitude that will hinder you, you can move. Christopher Columbus was on the way to discover the sea routes to America. He got to a point, the wayfarers, those who followed him, got somewhere and said that if they don't see land, that they should turn back. And Christopher Columbus said, if we don't see land in 3 days, we will turn back. In 3 days' time, they saw the shores of America. It's not that they discovered America, America had been there. But in 3 days, they saw the shores of America. People like Thomas Edison failed several times before they could invent the electric bulb. There is the telephone. The Graham Bell was not the original person that started the experiment with the telephone. It was a man called Nice. Nice did the telephone. You could hear to some degree, but you won't hear the voices. It was just a little screw that Graham Bell pushed a little bit further, and it could reach the diaphragm, and through the diaphragm you could hear. And so Ness went to the Supreme Court and put up a suit against Graham Bell. The Supreme Court passed a judgment in America that it is true that you started it, but it was Graham Bell that concluded it and got the result. Don't stop halfway. Know when to quit, but also know when to continue. I am not a very intelligent person. The only thing I know how to do is that I read over and over and over and over again until I master it. When you see a great performance by people like Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, the Serena Williams and Venus Williams, and Osimhen and whatever, and whoever, they had been tenacious in training, tenacious in performance, tenacious in visualizing their future. They will visualize the future. They see themselves scoring goals. They see themselves playing well. You must visualize it and be tenacious in the visualization. Ruth, Orpah, Naomi were battered, shattered, humiliated, and they set out to Bethlehem when they heard that there was bread in Bethlehem. Bread in Bethlehem. Bethlehem means house of bread, but there was temporary scarcity. And they ran away, the Elimelech and the wife ran away to Moab. But as these three women set out, they both cried, they both were widows, had the same challenges. Ruth and Orpah were younger than Naomi. Naomi was a great source of discouragement until later in the Bible. Now, Orpah turned back to her people and to her gods. She went back to her comfort zone, went back to what she was familiar with, went back to routine, went back to regularity, went back maybe to regimentation, went back to relationships. You see, sometimes you need to leave regimentation, relationships, your kind of religion, and move further on towards the mark of higher calling. And when Ruth was told by Naomi, go back, and all the discouragement, she said, don't tell me to go back. Your people shall be my people. Your God shall be my God. Where I die, where you die, I will also die and be buried. And they got to Jericho, got to Bethlehem. From there, she became the great-grandmother of David. I made a post when I was preaching, and I said that God suspended the law that said no descendant of a Moabitess shall enter the temple until the 10th generation. And somebody responded by saying that by the time David was born, a 10th generation had been reached. That is not true. I Googled it. Google was wrong. Wikipedia, whatever, they were wrong. Ruth is the great-grandmother of David. Great-grandmother is about just 4 generations. Ruth was the first Moabitess that gave birth in the Jewish lineage. And so it was only 4 generations, not 10 generations. I know what I'm talking about. The time has come for Africans to interpret the Bible with insight and not just swallow everything that the white man gives to us. God suspended that law of 10 generations of children from Moabitesses and made David a king, and David entered the temple and ate the showbread. Because when you are tenaciously pursuing purpose, sometimes God can bend the rules for your sake. Elisha is another tenacious person. The people knew that his master would be taking away the schools of prophets in Gilgal, Bethel, and Jericho. They knew. But it was only Elisha that stuck with the master and followed him until they crossed Jericho, the river Jordan. When they crossed, he saw his master being taken up in a chariot of fire, and the mantle dropped. Elisha could have picked that mantle and built a church there. But he said in his mind, I must go back. He went to the river Jordan. He could have started crying at the bank of the river Jordan. He took the mantle and struck the water. Where now is the God of Elijah? That is tenacity. The first time I prayed for a cripple, a paralyzed person, for the first few minutes, the prayers didn't work. It was when I was about to get tired that she lifted her big toe, lifted her foot, lifted her feet, and stood up and walked out of the hospital. Success is just a little effort away from you. Press on. Don't stop. For Joshua and the children of Israel to walk around the wall of Jericho 6 times the first 6 days, 7 times the 7th day, that's 13 times. It was not easy. The walls did not show any signs of cracking until the 13th time when the walls sank. So, the harlot's house, Rahab's house, did not sink, did not collapse. If not, they will have all died. But the harlot was a tenacious negotiator. I've helped you. Will you not save me, my father, my mother, and my family members? She was detailed in her negotiations because she knew what she wanted. Don't give up halfway. Don't stop. I did not reach this level by sudden flight. I have been on social media for years. It's after a period of consistency that celebrities are now sharing my posts. I must not fail to thank Tunde Ednot for sharing my posts right from the time of NSAS. I must not fail to thank Kanayo for sharing my posts. I must not fail to thank Acapella for sharing my posts, and several other celebrities that time will not allow me to mention for sharing my posts. I grew from 4,000 to 8,000 something subscribers within a short period. But it took me very long to reach 2,000 subscribers. That's the way the game is played. You need to earn your success. If the success is worth it, it will take time. It will take tenacity. It will take timing. It will take trials. It might take tribulation. It might have temptations to stop. But remain tenacious. You will get there. Don't give up on life yet. Don't commit suicide. Your breakthrough is not too far away. Keep pressing on. Let your name be on your testimony. Let your signature be on your testimony so that you can teach others and encourage others. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. God bless you.